Are you a transitioning veteran who's wondering what it is that you have to offer to the world? About 20 years ago, I transitioned out of almost a decade wearing the uniform. And I had no idea what it was that I was meant to be doing, that I was supposed to be doing, that I would find purpose in doing. And so I transitioned through 2 years at a wonderful business school, the Tuck School at Dartmouth. But as I left Tuck and I went to work for a medical device company, which has a great mission and a great purpose, it saves lives, it improves lives, I still didn't feel that sense of purpose and that sense of belonging and that sense of mission that I did while I was in the military. And then I moved to another job. It was in finance. It was at a large technology company, and it was considered a great job by every measure. It was a fantastic job. But I found myself embarrassed to admit where it was that I worked. And I realized as the years went by, I was like, this isn't the right place for me. Like, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I feel like everything now is geared towards what my paycheck is or what the bonus is or how I perform, my performance review, but not really on anything beyond that. And it was a really hard time. I was anxious. I was feeling depressed. I was feeling like I didn't have a sense of purpose or belonging or an anchor, and I really had no idea what it was that I was supposed to do. I have so much to share about this, but I just want to let you know that you're not alone if you're finding yourself in that place. And here's something that I realized, this was actually something early on, and I started to realize this again and again and again as I led teams in these various corporate environments. But I remember when I first arrived at business school and I did not know how to do the Excel spreadsheets that all the investment bankers were doing just as though they could have their eyes closed and they were putting formulas together. And I didn't know how to do the accounting, and I had to work with a tutor, and I almost failed my first accounting course. And I remember in my small group, because we worked in these small groups, I remember that I would always be quiet and just listen because all the consultants and the investment bankers were going back and forth, and they were very, very confident. And they deserved to be. They were talking about things that they'd been doing for years. And then we got to a case, and a case was an example of a business problem that we were discussing. That was kind of the case format, if you aren't familiar with that. And I remember there was one that was about a labor issue. It was about managing people, and the consultants and the investment bankers spoke up with great confidence like they had in the past. And I realized all of a sudden that they had no idea what they were talking about. I had actually managed people. They had been on spreadsheets. Both of them have their places, both of them have their value. But in this particular instance, I actually understood what it was that I was bringing to the table. I knew how to manage people. I knew how to get things done. I understood the challenges in those kinds of environments. And I finally spoke up. I finally found my voice. I realized there was a place for the experience that I'd had for those 10 years in uniform on 3 different continents. You all have done this, right? You may have deployed to combat. You may have been in combat. You may have led troops and the most unusual and excruciating circumstances that come up, whether you're leading troops or whether it's with their families. You know so much about people and about getting things done and about finding solutions when other people stop. When other people run up against walls, when other people say, oh, well, this just can't be done, or we don't do it that way here. You know how to get things done. And that moment in business school, I realized I had a lot to learn. I had a lot to learn on my Excel, and I took every decision science class that I could, and I struggled through the accounting and the capital markets and all of those things. But at the end of the day, getting things done anywhere has to do with leading people. I want to tell you one more story. I remember when I was working at the large technology company and I was working in finance, and I came back from a leave of absence for a family tragedy. And then I was working in more of a managerial role because my boss had understood that finance was not the right place for me, and he was right, and that managing people and managing projects was. And then I had the opportunity for a promotion if I interviewed to take a position on a team that needed to be turned over. And this was a team that had been together for a very long time, doing some highly technical work that I was frankly not even close to an expert in. I didn't even know how to use the systems, but I knew about people and I knew about taking care of people. And I remember when I interviewed for that job, the boss who interviewed me, who became now a friend of mine, even though we've both left the company, and he ultimately retired. And he looked at me over a cafeteria table and he said, I want to know how you're going to take care of the people on this team. And I was surprised at his challenge, but at the same time, I realized I was only surprised because in the corporate space, that wasn't the standard. But in my experience from the military, we took care of our people, right? You know that. And so I was uniquely qualified to take this team for this really challenging turnover, which wasn't fun and wouldn't be fun anywhere. But I knew that I could take care of the people while I was doing the really difficult job that was ahead. And I had to convince him of that, but that wasn't hard because that was my experience and that's your experience too. When you take care of people, when you truly care about them, then you know the people on the team take care of the mission. Or for the team that I had to turn over, then you help those people find a better path for themselves. This is something that is a particularly unique skill in the corporate environment. You are particularly well set up to handle these challenging sorts of situations. And at the end of the day, it's not the spreadsheets and the accounting that is really what they're looking for. You can hire somebody to do that. It's somebody that knows how to take care of people and to make the hard decisions and to find the creative solutions to the problems that we're all facing. The military and all of the incredible challenges that it throws at you gives you that experience in a way that nobody else has. So go into that role, go into that job, both confident and expecting a lot, both in terms of the challenges that you're going to face, as well as what you should expect to be compensated and to be rewarded and to be recognized for what it is that you bring to that table, because it's unique. People aren't finding that other places. People are right now leaving the workforce because they're leaving bad leaders and because they're not being taken care of and they're not being developed. If you've come from the military and you've actually done a good job leading people, you know about being a good boss. You know about asking questions and listening and making sure that you set the conditions of success for the people that work for you. You know that you need to help to develop them, to give them the opportunities to learn and to grow and to make mistakes and to take on new challenges. You know that inherently. Most people don't. You have unique opportunities and advantages that will make the companies that you work for successful. So go in there with confidence, go in there with courage, and know that you can learn the technical skills. You can find people to do those technical skills. But there's nobody that can come in without experience to take care of the really hard stuff, which has to do with the human heart. Good luck to you. I'm cheering for you, and I look forward to hearing how things go.